Hello, and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. Today we're on a very different subject, but this is going to be a series too. Actually, most of the things I cover, it's going to be a package deal, not just one, but today, especially since last week or the week before, I heard about the new remake for Snow White, which I'm so excited about. I have to cover the topic of why can't African Americans and people of color be the main characters without fear, judgment, or disgust? Why is there so much hate against the African American community? Because while you listen to this presentation, there are a lot of people who say certain things. And if you're one of these people, please, while you're listening, just think in your mind of all the times an African American person or a person of color, but especially African American person, has told you stories and situations that hurt them based off their race, off the color of their skin. And the amount of times people have told them, stop talking about race. We don't want to hear about it. Why does everything have to be about race? I doubt it was about race. Over and over and over again. Or that's in your head. There's no more racism. It's so much better than it used to be, etc., etc. Because I'm going to be going through those etceteras and all of the ones that I've said earlier. But yeah, let's get ready and take a dive into the topic. And yeah, pun intended. Are you ready for a dive, a splash, anything but skinny dipping? Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to go skinny dipping. Nah, not today. But I have plenty of receipts to the point where, like I said, this is a package deal. I'm going to need at least a part two, a part three, and maybe even a part five and six. Yeah, that's how much evidence I have. So let's get started. Oh, look, while we're swimming, I see this ugly fish right here that says that's not a mermaid, but mermaid or mer slave. The real Ariel doesn't look like that. Ah, what kind of fish do you think this is? I wouldn't even say it's a catfish because a catfish would be very insulted that I would even try to compare this with them. Well, here is another idiot who needs to go back to English class and learn a lot of things because when you have a story, some stories you can change the identity and it will not do anything to the plot, the outcome, or anything. Or you do not have to change the beginning of the story to have the same outcome. And examples of fictional characters that can have any identity without changing is the Tooth Fairy. And I know that one woman on Fox News says Santa's white, but I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Santa can be any race, nationality, and creed, and that's why now we have Santa Clauses around the U.S. who are African American, Asian, Hispanic, and other creeds. And we have so many other books like Snow White. The remake is about to have a Hispanic representation of Snow White. And it's funny though, I don't see anybody saying that's not my Snow White. I'm not seeing that. Is it because people don't know or people hate black people more? Or do they have to display their hatred for us more? Which is it? I ponder. Oh my gosh, okay, here's another one. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Of course, her name is Marsha. Here is what she has to say. White is beautiful and better. Oh, so many thoughts in my head about her, but I kind of wonder if she's related to Lauren Boebert or if she knows of her because you fill in the blank, but also because Lauren Boebert is one of the Republicans who voted down on the Crown Act because she said it's a stupid act when her ignorance, racist, bigoted, yes, this is my opinion, but reading this message, yeah, I kind of wonder how much she has in common with Lauren Boebert. And wow, so many woke babies crying in here. Mmm, feels so good. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying the flavor of bigotry, racist, and all that jazz. It's like, I wonder what his favorite flavor of Campbell's soup is. Chicken noodle bigotry? Yeah, I think it's chicken noodle bigotry. Or maybe it's broccoli cheddar racism. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, probably some with some oyster cracker. Or you know what? Clam chowder. Clam chowder with some. Let's see. Yeah, it's like I was about to say oyster crackers, but yeah, there's a pun in there. So if you can figure out the pun, then you get extra credit. I'm just gonna drop this right here because a lot of people were trying to point out the fact that there was a lot of like Greek gods and Greek atmosphere within the book. And there was a couple people who were just laying out there like, no, nope, try again. It's like if you're gonna be a racist, try to at least do your research while throwing out racist reasons why an African American should not play this part. And I thought it was amazing. So yeah. And here's another ugly fish because race, he had quite a few different posts up, and some of them I can't show because they're so racist, bigoted, and disgusting. But here are two of his posts, and I found a pattern. I found a few patterns, but normally the ugly fish that you see right now are either Republican, Trump supporters, or Christians. And I just find it amazing how so many so called Christian people are hating on this movie, hating on African American representation, when in the Bible it said that we are made in his image and thou shalt not judge. And like basically, a lot of it talks about the equality and humanity and the love, but a lot of them are showing anything but love. And so many of them are being mean and conniving and evil and just plain out racist. And it's it's not surprising, but I'll show you more examples. Well, speaking of Snow White, this gentleman thought this would be so cute. I hope we all disagree on that because I know I do. But Coal Black and the Seven, yeah. So, racism. I guess we're having more of clam chowder and crackers. Here is what Miss Tabitha says. Yes, let's teach our daughters that adultery is a good thing. Shaking my head. when it should say, if anything, yes, let's teach our children that adultery is a good thing. Shaking my head. Well, she forgets with her so called Christian identity, but to me, she's just trying to push so hard. I'm not a racist, but card. I'm not a racist, but here's another reason that a black person should not play this role. Because when it comes to imagination, when it comes to children, a lot of children, unless they are taught from a very, very young age, they don't see race and they don't compare themselves with race in a demeaning, awful, degrading way. It is taught. It is taught. And there are so many movies, animated and non animated, that show the beauty of diversity and how humanity is just that. Everyone is human, everyone breathes the same air, all of our hearts beat, we all drink water, eat food, and we all we all just want to live our lives in a beautiful way. But I have the perfect example to prove my point. About 20 years ago, there was an amazing, beautiful movie called Cinderella. And the talented singer Brandy played the main character, Princess Cinderella. If Tabitha needs a receipt, this is the perfect receipt for her. Because with Cinderella, we had a stepmother that was white. She's Caucasian. She is not a person of color. She has that beautiful curly red hair. It's like, I don't, it's like, when I saw this movie for the first time, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love her springy curls. They're so beautiful. And with Cinderella, in this version of Cinderella, we have two stepsisters. One's black, one's white. And we were never really told if Cinderella's stepmother roamed around the city block more than once, but we have more diversity right here in front of us. And so with Tabitha, it's like acting like, oh, King Triton. And I'm just like, girl, bye. Nah, don't even, you're just showing your stupidity and ignorance right there. And while you watched this version of the movie, you see that Prince Charming is of Asian descent. And I loved that this movie also showed multicultural couples because as you listen to my YouTube videos, you're going to hear how a lot of African American men say, I'm too white, I'm too proper. And when I was younger, it was mostly white and Asian men who said they liked me, they want to talk to me. So when I saw movies like this, I felt like, oh, so I wouldn't be odd. It wouldn't be strange. I wouldn't be too different. So, but the thing of it is, Prince Charming's parents. The one reason I really love this movie is because of the diversity on the princess end, but especially on the prince's end. This is Prince Charming's parents. So now you have an Asian Prince Charming with African American Queen of Whoopi Goldberg, what? And then the king. The king is white. And so, yes, a lot of people are going to say that doesn't make any sense, but this is our imagination. This is creative, and this is for kids. And so, showing the beauty of diversity, showing the heart and love of humanity, and that we're not different, we're all the same, that we all can be as one is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And that's another reason why I watched this movie so many times. And once I found it was on Disney Plus, oh, yeah, especially after I had my surgery. I think it was like just a few months after my surgery that they added it on. Is I listened to Whitney Houston's version of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boops so many times. And if you don't know about it, I'll put the link. It's like it should be on. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I've listened. I've played it for my students several times too. But with Tabitha, she doesn't get, or either it's her ignorance or the way that they teach at her church, or her racism, or just her denial of the beauty of humanity. In my opinion, this is all my opinion. So maybe if you have a reason that you think Tabitha thinks this way, put it in the comment section. And also, if you know why some of these people wrote and created some of these awful depictions, put in the comment section. Because with some of them, I replied, and that will be in a later video. But some of them I didn't because they're so ignorant and racist. It's like, what do you say to someone who is that racist? What do you say? And speaking of posts that I responded to, I will show the response later and also the proof that he is a Trump supporter, Republican, racist. Yes, because if you don't know what Song of the South is and why it was taken down, you need to look it up. And if I can find, I'll try to find the article. I'll see if there's a YouTube video on it. But Song of the South depicted a lot of racism, a lot of hate, a lot of hurtful things, and like especially stereotypes of the African American community. And so Disney took it down from Disney Plus. They do not sell it anymore because of the racism within it. And also why at, I believe it was at Disney World, they they're taking the ride down and they're replacing it with Princess and the Frog. So if you didn't know, now you know. I think the ride should be finished next year, I believe, either 2024 or 2025. But this gentleman, let's just say racism is all over this one. And that's just my opinion, but I have my receipts. And here's another example of two people who basically just hated on the movie. And it's funny how a lot of people who hated on the movie, they pretended they saw it, but they never really saw it. And I think I have some screenshots of it. I can't take screenshots of everything, but I had to take screenshots of this one because I wouldn't bother. It's horrible. Why is it horrible? But then when I looked at her profile, I was just like, oh, I get it. You don't even have to say anything else. It's like, in my opinion, the bigotry racist is just screaming back at me. I understand why you think the way that you do and what you think of people like myself. I see it. And then you have these guys who just think they're funny, but they're really not. Because you have one gentleman, Frank or whatever, um, he has the nerve to say that he went 4 times, but then he never actually watched the movie, that he fell asleep and ate his popcorn and licorice. What kind of grown man or what kind of grown person will keep going to the same movie even though they know they're going to fall asleep, even though they know they're not going to actually watch the movie? Disney doesn't mind. Disney's like, okay, more money. They don't care. So basically part of me is just like, if you're dumb enough to pay for the same movie 4 times even though you're not going to sit down and embrace the movie, that's your problem. That's part of your paycheck that you basically donated to Disney. And then you have this other Diaz jerk who he wants to stereotype black people and ask, did she jack the sub? And I'm just like, okay, I see racism. It's like, so again, when people keep saying, what does race have to do with it? Stop talking about race. It's like, there's no racism anymore. Get over it, and all of this other stuff. This is what Americans think. Some of them, or they're, oh, in another part, I have others who, it's international. It's not just in America, but majority of these are in America. But this is what we go through on a daily basis. People who say and think these things. So just imagine how they treat African Americans. If this is how they view us, just imagine. Well, here's another ugly fish right here. Because someone said, where's Ariel? And then this, in my opinion, no good, bigoted, racist, conniving, terrible person replied, she died apparently. Like if you're racist, just say it. If you're bigoted, just say it. If you're an awful human being who thinks certain people within humanity are not good enough or not at the same level as you, just say it. And here's another guy. Ugh, but do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Because, like I said, 90% of the people who kept posting this kind of stuff, when I look at their profile, I saw a pattern. I saw a pattern that was just more apparent than ever. It's like, you don't have to be Nancy Drew. You don't need to be part of the Scooby Doo gang to see the pattern that I saw. If you see what's on the right of his unattractive face, you will see, yeah, the orange guy. And I know I keep saying 90%, it was 90 to 95 actually, but almost everybody that was hating on an African American person playing a fictional mermaid, either it was the blue line, or it was a Trump picture, or it was some other either degrading, racist post in their profile that just shows and screams Republican, or yeah, let's just say there's one I can't even put on here because it was they they were hanging a black person from a tree, and they were just saying, I wish we had this fruit again. So, but yeah, but people keep telling us to stop talking about racism. And when it comes to African American representation. We need that. And we need that more than ever. And people who keep wanting to stereotype us and degrade us and put us down and say we're not worth being the main character, when if you can be the main character of your story, why can't we? And if you're allowed to have an imagination, why can't we? If your children are able to see main characters and imaginative characters look like you, why can't we? And so that's one reason with my children's books, with my writing, I am making sure I have that. I am making sure I have characters that have people of color representation, especially disability representation. And I'm planning on having LGBTQ in the children's books at a certain, like, I'm still figuring that all out. But in my novel, I do have a character that is LGBTQ. I have African American, Hispanic, Asian representation, and I have Caucasian representation as well. But I want to make sure that I have the diversity. I have multicultural um, marriage in the book as well. And so I wanted to have diversity and inclusion and love and humanity. And I know I'm going to be having some more portions with this because I have so many more examples. But just imagine what some of us go through on a regular basis. And on that note, I am going to be doing a podcast episode with my experience of going to Lake City, Michigan. I I've been there a few times, and in my opinion, that is one of the most racist cities I have ever been to. It's so racist that my ex-boyfriend, who was white, his white oldest daughter cried because of the racism I was facing. She felt so bad about the racism I was facing. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And here are some things you guys can write in the comment section. What do you think about the new diverse take on the Snow White remake? How do you think people of color can be accepted in media, books, and life? How would you respond to these comments that you saw on today's episode? There's going to be a part 2 coming soon, so check it out.